morning, everyone, and welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche. Happy Thursday. I am the badass Buddha Lori Monaco. So happy that you are here, and welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche. Good morning, Evelyn, and Kathy's in the house.
Good morning. Buenos días, mi gente. Aquí con la Margarita, your gladiator guru, here on this mystical morning, because I think it's so.
Oh, yes, with all the fog.
It's a mystical morning. Good morning and welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche.
Sorry, we're just trying to, we're like, I didn't expect her to take a drink and I wasn't ready to talk. So good morning to Gail's in the house, Leanne's in the house. Good morning. So today is our part 2. So this whole month, we're doing a lot of part 1s and part 2s because we're trying to instill everything. Like, remember, we're on that commit, recommit thing. So we're reminding ourselves of the things that we still need to work on. And today is the part 2 of I am. So what we asked you to do on Tuesday is to make sure that you step up today and you write even more so what you are. And I know Gail said, I'm not a big fan of the I ams. Gail likes to ask the questions. And so Gail, what we want you to do as we progress through the show, we want you to share with people the questions that you like to ask people, because the thing with I am is people like to use the phrase I am in personal development to say, you know what, I am is such a powerful statement. So if you say I want this, it's like it's needy as opposed to I have this already, or I want to be this person. I am that person. But what we're asking you to do is a little bit different. We want you to own those powerful I ams, that I am courageous, I am strong, as long as you know that that is who you are. When you say I am a work in progress, that is being truthful. That is not lying to yourself. You're saying that I'm not exactly where I want to be, but I am working towards it proudly. So I am is to stand tall and even acknowledge the things that you know you still are, that you still would like to change. Okay. So if you say I am courageous and you say, well, I'm not really courageous, say I am building up my courage, because you know there's levels of it. And so everything that you do that's a little different, that you stand up for yourself a little more, that is courageous. And you may not define it as I'm completely courageous, because I've had people say that to me sometimes. I said, you know, you're very courageous. And they're like, I don't think so. And I'm like, and I point stuff out to them like, well, I mean, yeah, a little bit, but so own the little bit. You could say, I am a little bit courageous, you know, and if you want more, it's seeking. And that's where Gail does step in with the powerful questions. So, but before we get started, I want to share something. I don't usually wear a t-shirt to the show, but this is what I know I am now. I have become, over the years, the badass Buddha, 50% namaste, 50% go F yourself. And this shirt I came across and I just thought it spoke volumes for me. Which I think is so funny.
I even love the butterfly in it.
Because it's again, it's not saying that I'm not a mean, rude person, although some people may believe I am. What it means is there goes my last flying F for your situation, because it's the same over and over again. And it's a bullshit situation. And it is my belief. Okay. So I will own that. But the thing is, it's don't come to me looking to play the victim or to get people to feel sorry for you, which is the victim, or guilting me or shaming me. I don't care. What I care about is if you say, you know what, I am making changes and they're obvious, and whatever. So I loved this shirt because it's just it's true. It's like I will give my all to those that receive it until they take advantage of it. Once I see that they're not really receiving it, they're just using it, then I've given my last one.
Yeah, and that's a good way to look at it. And I get what Gail's saying. Thank you, Leanne. Hola, Milagros, Iritza, and Miggy-san. in the I am, within the I am is that I always say, you got to always remember too, as the badass Buddha just said when she shouted out some words you can say after the I am. Remember that the I am of the most important thing you got to remember of I am means you're declaring something. So when you put it out into the universe, you are declaring that which you just stated. I am blah blah, right? So you should never do the opposite. I know we're talking about positives, but you got to have, there's a balance. Never claim anything in the negative connotation after you say I am, because it is a declaration. And like 7 is the number of completion. It comes from the Bible. And Jesus said 7 declarations. I am the bread of life. I am light. I am the word. I am the door of the sheep of the world. I mean, and it goes on and on. And everything is, I am the way, the truth, the life. I am the vine. So when you say I am, when you're preparing your mindset to believe what you're saying, make sure you're saying something that compliments you or something that you're attracting to you in a positive way of growth. Because when I constantly hear people, I don't feel good, I'm sick, I'm this, I'm that.
Yeah, it
You're
reinforces.
declaring that upon your life, and then you want to be mad with the world. So when you say the I am, even if it is what the badass Buddha says, when she says I am, what did you say, courageous?
Yes.
It still ends in something positive, of filled with growth and potential in your life.
Yes.
So
it does.
yesterday, both my knees were tight, and I went up the stairs, and then I was about to say something, and then I said, "Oh, my knees are getting better." And whether you're convincing yourself or you believe that to the fact where you don't feel that tinge of pain, of tightness, or you've said it, so now you're exercising, you're becoming more aware to stretch. And I went up and down the stairs a couple times, because movimiento es vida, movement
Yes.
is life. So, and then I realized that after a couple times going up, it wasn't so tight anymore. And the thing is, I sat in front of my computer for almost 2 hours yesterday, finishing this herbal course that I've been putting off. And when I went to go upstairs to get some water, I felt the tightness. But again, it was just because I was sitting down, right? It's not because my knees are acting up. So that hit me, and I was like, why do we forget what's good for us? Why do we allow those little bursts of bullshit to enhance the day? And it's something with everything we've spoken about, it is about acknowledging, where am I? Okay, why are my knees tight? Instead of quickly blurting out, oh, my knees are swollen, my knees hurt, oh, they're locking up. That is when you have to say, hold up, wait a minute. What the hell is going on? What is it that we have to do? The I am is very, very powerful. And Gail says, this is when empowering questions happen. Exactly. So ask yourself those questions. Gail, give us some examples. Ask
Yes.
yourself questions, and then do the I am declaration. Remember, whenever you're declaring something, it's for you, comes from you, because it's for you. So whenever you're in doubt, because the minute you say I am, you already know what's going to follow. Stop yourself. Only you can do that.
And just keep something in mind too, that whatever so when you were talking about, oh, I'm stiff, I'm sore, I can't move, I'm not feeling good today, I'm in a lot of pain today, those I am type of statements, it's interesting because somebody could still make that powerful. Okay, because if you say I'm feeling pain today, most people would say that's negative. But to somebody who has not felt their legs for weeks or months because of an accident or an injury or a disease, and then all of a sudden they start to get feeling back in their legs and it comes back as pain, they are grateful for the pain and they say, oh my God, I'm feeling pain in my legs, but I'm so glad that I'm actually feeling. Okay. For somebody who couldn't move because of one thing or another, and then all of a sudden they're up and finally mobile, limited, but mobile, they're going to say, I'm stiff and I'm sore, but I'm up and I'm about. So we have to look at those things and say to ourselves, everything is a message to us. If you get up and you're stiff and you're sore, it's because we weren't born that way. We made ourselves that way. It could have been from an accident. It could have been from sedentary lifestyle. It could have been from diet, probably all of the above. But the thing is that we always forget how resilient we are. So when we say statements like, yeah, I'm not that strong, I'm not that brave, you were at one time. Well, how do you figure I was? I've always been kind of afraid to do things. When you were a baby, you stood up because you wanted to stand up, not because people told you to stand up. When you were a baby, you crawled because you wanted to crawl, not because somebody told you to. When you were a baby, you walked. You pulled yourself and pushed yourself to walk. You stepped, you fell down, you got hurt, you got back up. Not because somebody told you to, because you wanted it. You wanted it. See, somewhere along the lines, we get in our own heads and we listen to too many outside sources to tell us that you can't do that. That's too hard. And then we take a step back or we get pissed off. Sometimes it's the opposite effect. Sometimes somebody says you can't do something and then you like, well, I'm going to prove them wrong. And that's good too. But sometimes when we're so hell bent on proving them wrong, we also don't think clearly. The I am is about clarity. It's about not lying to yourself. It's about walking, living, breathing your truth in that moment in time and saying to yourself, I am not where I want to be, but I am on my path to get there. So sometimes you can throw the not statement in there as long as it is telling you that you are moving in some sort of direction. And movement is life, whether it's physical movement, mental movement, emotional movement. I mean, listen, if your mental movement is not good, guess what you set yourself up for? Dementia. It's proven. But physical movement also does it too. It's been proven. If you don't move around and get blood flowing, it also affects your mental state. So movement, physical, mental, emotional, even bowel movements help. So we're true enough about movements, right, Gladiator Guru?
It is. And you mentioned something about pain and those who were unable to feel it. You got to remember that you were not born in peace. I have a quote, my quote, that says, I was not born with peace in my heart. I was born with the sword in my hand. I have always been brave. We were born in the midst of chaos and torture for your mother. This just think of the birth process, unless you were a C-section. And so you mentioned something about having society place all these fears in front of us, and then we become it, or everything around us is that. And I believe when people do that, it's so that they don't hold themselves accountable. So they can always say, well, it's because she said if I do this and blah, blah. But remember that pain is a love language. When you can actually say, I'm in pain, I have to address things. See, it doesn't end in a negative tone. It means you're going to use that courage and that strength you have to find out, because the love language that pain is your body telling you that something is wrong.
Yes.
Not the pain and the chaos you create in your mind and in your heart because you chose to hold on to the past that no longer is alive, or the future has yet to arrive.
Oh my
right?
God.
So
and we hold on to it like it's life or death. Like if I let go of the past, and listen, I know I'm struggling with this to this moment in time, having to come to terms with the fact of the question of why I'm not letting stuff go. But go ahead, dear.
Yeah, so you got to remind yourself of that, because no, leave that open.
Who's talking to you? Tell them you're working.
Well, I'm just saying, leave something open and she's insisting on closing it. So if anybody knows me, know that one of my favorite philosophers is Rumi. And one of my favorite quotes from him is, the cure for the pain is in the pain. So if the past is still tormenting you, that's your fault.
Yes.
It's all on you.
It is.
It wasn't the perpetrator who caused the pain in your yesterday. It's not them anymore. It was said and done. It is you. If you are in turmoil and fearful of life because of what might happen in the future, again, take accountability for yourself, because you are in this moment. You exist. Your I am is here and now, not 30 minutes from now, not 30 minutes ago. And when you can grasp the fact that you do got to ask yourself questions, you can ask yourself, why am I putting myself through this? And when you take accountability for that I am within you, it helps you. It's not going to heal you instantaneously, but it helps you hold yourself accountable. Because, not you, badass, but anyone who holds on to the past and is still reliving it and is still regurgitating that same emotion and getting all angry and looking at somebody and getting angry and having these scenarios playing in their head that they want to slap them or punch them in the throat, which is one of my favorites. And is it that person's fault? Their only fault is that they're existing, but it's your fault that you keep trudging up the garbage from yesterday. And then when they don't respond the way you respond, you take that as permission to get all angry again because they're not understanding you. Why are they going to understand you today when that shit happened in your yesterday? You're not even the same person today. Why are we going through this again? So it's all on you. You are the villain and the victim in your life today if you're still holding on to shit that happened yesterday.
And that's part of your I am. That's your truth. Okay. I understand. Well, I have a challenge sometimes within personal development. There's a common practice that says, like, fake it till you make it. And I understand to a certain level. You know, you have to, in order for you to break a habit, you have to reestablish your belief system to say, like, if you believe I am not successful, I'm not a good speaker, I'm not this, I'm not, but that's what you want to do. You want to be a speaker, you want to be good at it. You've got to convince yourself that you are. You've got to put yourself out there. You've got to jump out and face that fear. There's a level of, it's like a very tight balancing act. It's like it's walking that tightrope to where there's the fakeness, like to fake it till you make it to get there. But then you have to step up and own it and become it. And the thing is that a lot of times, personal development, once again, will say, but because we don't want you to put any negative things in your head, we want you to just say, I am this and I am that, even if it's not true. But I'm going to speak from complete experience. You have to be very careful with this, because if you don't admit the challenges that you have, and I'm saying that lightly, your vulnerabilities, your weakness, you don't have to announce it to everybody, but if you don't admit it to yourself, if you lie to yourself, it will bite you in the ass years later, because you will not rectify it. And that's the whole point of this I am. The I am, in case we haven't made it clear to you, is we want you to absolutely declare who you are, all of it, own it. And then if there's still pieces that you're saying, I am afraid. Okay. I am afraid to take chances. I am afraid to take the big leap. Beautiful. You're admitting it to yourself. Now, then the questions come in, like Gail says, and say, what can I do to move beyond this? Or even ask the why questions, which sometimes you can't answer. Why am I still afraid? Why is it that I am moving forward, yet I am unable to completely let go of my past? Why? What is it that you're doing or not doing to hold you there? What is it that's tethering you? You know, if you're moving, and this has been my path. My path has been moving forward, but yet I still have something attached to my ankle and I'm dragging it along. And some days that weight is light as a feather, and I'm dragging it, and it's no problem. In fact, I'm enjoying it because it's helping me build strength in my core. And there's other days that it's so effing heavy and it's so hard to move because I refuse to let it go. And that's why within less than, or a little over a week, that is one piece that I am letting go of. The big move for me is one of the biggest pieces. And then there is still more work to be done over the next few months. And I'm happy about this. Last year when I was getting ready to move, I had so much anxiety from, is this okay? Is this right? Am I going to be able to do this myself? There was so much fear. And boy, it's going to sound bad to say, but it worked out really well that my father got really sick and ended up passing away. Terrible to say that, but you understand what I'm coming from. Is it gave me a damn good excuse. It gave me a damn good excuse to say how dangerous the area was that I was going to. A legitimate excuse, and especially because I was going there with no support and it's just me and my two kids. And what were they going to do while I was at work all day? But I had a lot of damn good excuses. And this time, there is fear there, but this time it's different. I'm not afraid. I'm afraid, but I'm more excited about the possibility. So it's higher than the fear. It's greater than the fear.
Yes, girl. Everything happens for a reason. I don't believe in coincidence. I don't believe there is no coincidence. I believe in maktub. It is written. Sometimes we take a detour by our own stupidity. Let's keep it real. You want to be all up in your feelings, expecting everybody to relive a decade ago of issues that you've had. And because nobody wants to play in your mud, you get all bent out of shape. And instead of continuing on your path, I'm going to show them. And you cut everyone off and you self-isolate. You do all this stupid bullshit to blame everyone else around you for your lack of. Now, let me tell you something. I have never been a person who lived in fear. Do things upset me because I might not know what to do in that moment? Absolutely. I'm human. I'm not a deity. I'm a human. But I've never had fear of doing anything. And sometimes when I was in Santiago the first time, when I walked the Camino Santiago in 2017, which would not have happened, right? It all was the domino effect. My husband, after 6 years of caregiving, passes away. And then I was afforded the opportunity to do this month-long walk, right? And I will walk 500 miles. And so I get what you're saying, badass. Now, I met up with this pastor from North Carolina, and we walked together. We stood at some albergues. We would meet throughout the whole month we were there. And then towards that last 7 days that I was a tourist in Santiago, he was with me 3 days. We walked all over Santiago. We had breakfast, lunch, and dinner together. It was beautiful. He was just a solid friend. And one day he asked me in front of the cathedral, I think it was like 3:00 in the morning. We're having wine in front of the cathedral. And he says, what do you fear? And without even having to, let me see, and start, pulling out all the shit out of my lockbox, I said, sometimes I fear. My biggest fear is that I don't have fear. That was very honest. And I think it's because of everything I just went through. And so when you say, there's no other way to go but here, when you're in a pickle, let me tell you, like I said on Tuesday, I was in this self-inflicted chaos. And all I had to do was ask a question. I didn't even need an answer. It was about being vulnerable because I've lived on survival mode all my life. So, and yeah, I was an angry little elf, but it was my own doing. And when I can say I am a traveling magician, when people say, how are you? And I say, I'm amazing. I mean it. Believe what I say because I'm meaning it. And because growing up, when you grow up and you don't have much, you learn. That's survival skills for me. And it's skills that is going to take me to my last step, because no matter what happens, I'm always going to know how to maneuver. So when people say, well, what are you? You do so much. I'm a traveling magician, because anywhere I go, I can paint, I can write, and I can talk the shit out of your ear. I can create something.
And that is your I am. I am a magician.
Yes, I can create something out of nothing. Iris, bring me one of those boxes. So, when you can say, I am brave and I am courageous, and I am gonna go out on a limb and create or share or teach. I'm gonna listen. I am a great listener. How many of us can 100% say that? Because I as sure as hell can't. Not until the last 2 years. Why? Because we only listen enough to have a response.
That's true.
So when you say, I'm a great listener, sometimes I look at people like, shut the fuck up. No, you're not, because you'll be interrupting me 50 million times, right? So I'm going through, thank you, Mama. I'm going, trying to finish up my book, Backpacking 3 Panties. And it did get started on the Camino, because going through the Camino, I learned a lot. I will recommend, even if you do it 1 week for 5 years, every 1 week a year, you go and you pick up where you left off and you do that walk, or break it up in a way that you can do it in 2 years or every 6 months. It don't matter. But I recommend the Camino to anyone I speak to, because it has literally, I can say with full-hearted passion, has changed my life, so that when I declare that I am, I know what the hell I'm talking about. Okay? I am phenomenal, and I am rude, and I am mean, and I am angelic. I can be all of the I ams because they speak truth about me. When you can speak truth about yourself, then do it. So when I asked that one question that had me crazy the whole weekend, on Monday mid-morning, it felt better than an orgasm. That's how it made me feel. And yesterday I was saying, I have been celibate for 4 years and I love sex. What's wrong with me? I really enjoyed it, but this is my choice, right? So when we know who we are, then we don't compete with the Joneses. Good morning, Janine. We don't go around saying, how could they have that? And I work so hard and I don't have it. Why do you want it? It wasn't yours to begin with. Had it been yours, you would have worked towards it.
Well, and that's exactly the point. We do that. We say, why do they have it? And it's like, well, they have it because they have it. They got it.
They chose to work towards it.
Exactly.
What you have are insecurities. You're filled with self-doubt. You don't know who the hell you are, but you're pretending to. Because whenever you are envious or jealous over somebody, especially somebody that you know, what does that say about you? Whether they are living outside of their means, that's their chaos. All you're seeing is they have a bigger car, nicer house. They wear whatever it is you're seeing that you think you want, you don't. Because if you wanted it, you would have it. Nobody is luckier than you. People just work different. They maneuver different. They might have been blessed and was born into a rich family. I don't know, because I don't give a shit. You know why? Because I didn't have much growing up. We had the basic material needs and less of that in emotional needs. For me, that's what I can say. And I grew up where I can walk away from anything in 30 seconds flat. I'm not happy. Stay with the apartment. Grab my clothes, my kids. I was out. I've done that. The only man I didn't walk out on was Eric, because he died. But whenever I feel like I don't want to be somewhere anymore, I don't fear where I'm going. I'm going to sleep on your couch until I get it right. And I always got it right. Because I didn't stay somewhere that was going to rot my soul. Because I am brave.
And I want to jump in and acknowledge my middle daughter for this, because my middle daughter I've talked about my kids a lot, and especially the youngest two. And a lot of you know that my middle daughter really had a lot of challenges. She went through some very bad depression and anxiety. She was very close to ending her life, not even that long ago, just a couple of years ago. But with her, it's amazing to watch her transformation, because in some elements, she's still working, figuring things out. She's still a little bit emotionally catching up. But then there's other parts of her that are so freaking insightful, hell of a lot more than I was at her age, not to mention even now sometimes. But she's exactly that way too, Gladiator Guru. Like, she will, if she doesn't like something, she will move herself out of it. And I think the frustration comes in with her is when she is stuck, that she can't move out of it. Like, I have chosen to stay in those situations, I know this about myself. I know that I have chosen to stay in those situations, where hers was, we always have a choice, true enough. But when you're a child, when you're under a certain age, your choices tend to be a little bit more limited, because you don't have the money. You're not old enough to move on your own, although she is now. But she would only stay in situations because she really didn't have a way out, or didn't mentally, like a maturity, know how to. But she's like you. Like, if she's not liking the conversation, she won't argue about it. She'll just walk away. She'll be like, I don't even want to be involved in this. And I admire her for that, because I still struggle to this day to do that. I still struggle to say, why am I putting myself in this situation? It's not serving me. And so kudos to her, because whenever I remind her, whenever she says like she isn't enough, or she's still far behind, I'm like, but certain
According
things,
to who?
But right, exactly. But you're like more insightful than even people your own age. And maybe that's part of the problem, because peers can't grasp you, because you were already there. And I would much rather her have that insight than, she does not stand for, she's not a people pleaser, and she's not going to argue the point either. She's just like, I'm out, I'm done.
And when people are solid and dedicated to themselves, you're labeled. I have been labeled crazy for the majority part of my life, because I always acted out on what I wanted to do, on what I needed to do for me in that moment. My granddaughter has always called me crazy since she was 2, but that's because I would dance and jump on the table with her and dance and do whatever in restaurants.
That's a good crazy.
But so they will judge you, and you will be named. And if you live in fear, or if you live for accolades and wanting people to like you, then you're going to never do what you have to do for yourself. You're never going to claim your I am in anything, because you don't know who the hell you are, but you want and have expectations of everyone else around you knowing who the hell you are. And, that's an inside job. So Desiree says, same here. Sex 8 years. How and why? I don't know. I might be saving myself for Prince Charming this time. I don't know.
I love what Madeline wrote.
Yeah, that's what I was going on.
Madeline's whipping out the wisdom today. And everybody is. It's not that, it's just that Madeline's got some really big bullet points here. And this is a big one. We forget that the universe holds up mirrors for us to see what and who is teaching us something or inspiring us. And it's, and that's a really powerful and deep statement, because if you think about it, again, this is the I am. That was a show. Go in front of the mirror, look at yourself. What are you seeing? If your body isn't the way you wanted it to look, like if you're all jiggly and out of shape, what brought you to that? It didn't just by itself happen. Other people are not to blame. You're the one who put the food in your mouth. If you're out of shape and not strong as you used to be and can't walk that far, whose fault is that? Granted, I know, I'm not saying, I got this disease, or I had this happen, or I got COVID and that was it. I'm not saying that. We have to look at all the other pieces. if you got sick, maybe it was because you weren't taking care of yourself as well as you could have been, and therefore your immune system wasn't as strong and you got sick. So yes, there are legit excuses, but the majority of them, when we look at that ourselves in the mirror and see who is looking back at us, and you say to yourself, oh, you know, I don't like what I'm seeing, or I like what I'm seeing, but I'm not quite where I want to be. But either way, it's truth. Okay. It's truth. It's you are, you know, if you're repeating patterns, then you're not learning. And then you have to own that. You have to be aware of it. You have to say, I am repeating patterns. There's my I am. And then the big questions is, okay, why am I repeating patterns? What can I do differently to stop repeating the patterns? And yes, it would help if you get stuck, to work with people that know how to do that. You know, Gladiator Guru and I are both coaches. Gail's a coach. And it helps to just get that little kick in the ass sometimes, or different insight, you know, like something like somebody says it in a different way where you've been thinking it this way, and then all of a sudden they put it in a different way and you're like, shit, yes, okay, I didn't think of it that way. Oh, that makes sense. And it shifts you.
Well, the thing is, you said something important, and you got it when you're doing the I am, and when you stop lying to yourself and you're walking in your truth, and you do see that jiggly stuff, or you see that unhealedness inside of you that keeps regurgitating shit that already happened, you gotta, you know, you it's a thin line too, because when you work on the outside of you to patch up the inside of you, that's where a lot of eating disorders come in, and impulsive decisions on your spirit part. So if you're dealing with the outside and the inside, then have them hold hands and work on them together. Because if you're trying to correct the outside because you don't like the way you look, you're neglecting the inside. So you're always going to have more of that dark bitterness in your soul, where your spirit. And then Irita and I know somebody who is going through something, and they're fixing the outside of them, and you must fix the inside of you. Just to hold that mirror up. You know, they say the eyes are the windows to the soul. So when you're looking in that mirror, look into yourself. Don't look at yourself. There's a big difference. And to be healthy inside and out is everybody's dream. So if you got to work on them simultaneously, when you go walking, when you are exercising, that should be the time you're clearing out that negative thinking.
Yes.
When I walk,
not ruminating on it.
My most brilliant ideas is when I'm walking.
I come home
and I'm on it. You know, like this last thing that I in this book that I'm writing, like I was saying, it's not about the Camino. It's about what the Camino added to my life, what it removed, my burdens, my sorrows, and how it enlightened my life. And one of the main things that I love, if you notice today, I put 3 of the books here, because how amazing is it that I have 7 published books and I have none of my other work with me here. And I meant to go look through my sister's drawers to see if she had my other 3 books, but I didn't. So here are the badass stories, 1, 2, and 3. And why did I become a writer? It wasn't to be famous so that people could know who I am. And let me tell you something. When I walk in a room, I am more the owner of that building than the person who really paid for it. When I walk in a room, I love to walk in a room, and I'm mostly always entering by myself. And guess what? I'm always late. So people notice me when I walk in. It's not on purpose.
That's the reason.
No, it's not on purpose. It's just that I don't live on your clock. I live on my time. So that's how secure I am in who I am. Like, oh, the party starts at 3, then you better lie to me, because, you know, if I'm doing something, I'm going to pop up when I pop up. And people will get offended because I'm not going according to their lifestyle. Think about it. Why are you upset that I'm late? Because you were early? Like, really think about that. Why should I get offended that you're upset that I wasn't here on time? Are you early or were you on time? And that's my way of thinking. That's how I am. So the importance of books. I became a writer because I love words, because words saved my life. at an early age, when all I had was my pencil and scrap paper or used napkins to write on, that saved my life. I am a wordsmith because I believe in the power of words and what I was writing and pouring out what I was feeling so that it didn't linger and stain the inside of me. And I wasn't even a teenager yet. So when I tell you that I was not born with peace in my heart, I was born with the sword in my hand. I have always been brave. Believe it, because I'm telling you the truth. So I became a writer because I love books. Because when I'm reading a book, I love to feel the pages in between my fingers. I love the smell of old
Me
books.
too. Me
I
too.
love to look at them. They always look like they're having a party when I look at my stack of books. That's my love affair with them. And that's why I do what I do. And it's not for accolade. I don't give a shit who likes me. And if you love, and I'm going to admire you when you can admit you don't like me, because then we got something in common. And guess what? I'm going to always say hi, and I'm going to honor you. It's not about who likes me, how many friends I have, where I go. No, the applause I get. But everybody has to reach a plateau that they're comfortable with in their life. And that's why the I am is very important when you're making a declaration over your soul, because that's what it is. This is a suit. When you make the I am declarations over your soul, you start to feel it. It's in your core. You're living your belief of your I am. And that's why it's imperative for you to know what is it that you're capable of. And the books. And I shared this with the Badass Buddha. But this is something that I'm selling. I have a thing I'm going to.
Isn't that pretty? Like
I
that's
created. It
it's
is
so
a blind date with the book. And
I'm so she was showing it to me the other day, and I'm like, I have my moments of creativity, but it's just like I would never think to put all that together to look so pretty.
So
So
in
lovely.
this gift box, I wrapped up the book. I did all this. I stole some fake baby breath from one of my sister's pots because I did all this box with everything I owned in this house. I didn't go out and buy anything. So this is that, right?
Use, recycle.
Except for the mugs. And then in these little kettles, which are so adorable, they're cardboard kettles, right? 3 of my Love Is blend of the digestive tract. It's all organic, whole anise, whole cloves is in here. And then in here is a little blend of tea I created with rose petals. So it's like a red tea. I'm not going to open it because it's going to make a mess. So that goes in there. With this, I included this little heart shape because love makes the world go round, especially when you love the I am that you are. So here you fill this up with this tea and you put it into steep. And then you have I wanted classy tea mugs. When I do my coffee bag ones, it'll be different mugs. But in there, you have your gold spoon to stir your sugar. And then I don't have it here. It must have came out. Then I have the honey dip well, and I have little honey jars, which I don't know why it must be in my other box. You dip it in, you put it in your tea, a coaster, and a bookmark. I asked Beauty to bring me any box, but the other box is the one that's full. So why? Because I want to do anything that has to do with books because we're losing the imagination of wonder. People are too stuck to their phones. They're doing everything except getting lost in characters. Listening to someone else's story, reading words that somebody has lived and poured through onto paper for you to experience and draw your own conclusions. Like, am I the puppet or the puppeteer? My favorite part in Gail's book. So what happens when we lose the magic of holding a book in our hand and flipping the pages? Who are you then? What are you learning? You're learning what's being regurgitated by what society wants to brainwash you. Where's our imagination going? So you have to say, and if you've never been an avid reader, words have saved my life since the age of 6. So you stick to what you know. And That's why this here, and I'm doing several boxes, but I only had 2 of those boxes here. A blind date with the book. Isn't that exciting? Like, oh my God, what am I gonna get? It's exciting because then if you're not doing anything during the week, create a book club, invite 3 or 4 of your friends, read the book. Like anything can be created out of nothing. This is what I'm saying.
That's how anything is created.
How powerful you are. I am amazing enough that, you know what? We're always talking negative. We're always talking about our problems. Let me get 3 or 4 of my girlfriends together, have them over, make some hors d'oeuvres, coffee, wine, whatever floats your boat, and then we can talk about a book, or we can read parts of it. Like everybody can take a share in reading a chapter. You don't have to, like, if you don't have all books for everybody, then share the book around and everyone reads a chapter and then ask each other questions. Things can be created right there. You don't need to have all this money, a fancy house or a fancy car. What you need is your imagination and a passion for life for you to say, I am alive and thriving. It's not about how much money you have in your bank or what's your job title. Fuck all that. What are you made of that you can contribute to society and lift a hand up to anyone else around you that you may not even know what they're going through, and they could be your best friend? And words from a book can enhance, can get all that blood flowing and you feel all the little goosebumps and everything. Try it. So this is my new creation out of my boxes, along with my tea jars and everything else. Because why? Because when I create, I stimulate. And in those moments where I'm like, okay, I've made a lot of changes in my life this last less than a year, and it's still not where I need it to be. So in order to maintain my hope level, I have to stay creative. You know why? Because I am a traveling magician. I need to be in my house in Florida to be amazing. Every step I take is an amazement in its own. So you are what you know you are. So claim it, declare it, walk it, and your time.
I think that the most freeing I am that I've come to, and it's so funny because when you said it before, I was thinking this, and then I was going to mention it, and then Madeline jumps in and writes, I spent my entire life as people pleaser and shipped small pieces of myself away to the point that I didn't know who I was, what I liked, or what I wanted for myself. It wasn't until the last 3 years that I started to recenter myself. And I feel the same exact way. The interesting thing about being a people pleaser is this: you don't love yourself. You don't even like yourself sometimes. You might like yourself, but you don't love yourself. And that's the whole point of being a people pleaser, is you're trying to trying to show other people who you are. And you take all that energy and effort to do that, to get them to like you. And it colossally backfires on you. I mean, you get people that will see who you really are and really do love you. But it's not until you really do take that step to say, who am I? And who is it that I want to be? And who am I actually, though? And if I'm saying that I want to be a kind person, then I have to be a kind person. I don't have to throw other people under the bus to show what kind of awful people they are to make me look better. I don't have to win an argument if somebody says something that I disagree with. I don't have to jump in and say something. I don't have to. If somebody gives their opinion on something, that I've got to jump in and correct them and give them my opinion on something. And over the last year, for me, I've become quieter, especially the last 6 months, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I say. I don't have to prove anything to anybody. It doesn't matter. Like, I've heard people say something incorrectly, and my ego would step in and want me to jump in and correct them. And then I thought to myself, why? Like, if it was something that really did need to be corrected because it was an important situation, that's one thing. But if it was just to be able to correct them, to show that them and other people that I know, I stopped myself and said, why? Like, I don't have to prove anything to anybody. It will be seen. People will know that. I don't have to make somebody feel bad by correcting them. I don't have to spew out the knowledge that I know without being asked to make myself better. And when I catch myself wanting to do that, I ask the questions of, okay, what's going on with you that you need to do this?
What are you okay?
I mean, who am I really trying to prove it to? And in the end, it's myself. And so it's much better to sit still and take that step back, use discernment, sometimes just shut the hell up and then walk away, because you could sit there and, even because this is interesting, you start as a people pleaser, you do what everybody else wants because you get to like them. Just like Madeline said, you don't know who you are, you don't know what you want, you lose all of that. Then when you finally wake up and you start to move back to that person, maybe that person you never even were 100%, and then you start to own yourself. You go to this opposite end where now you have to prove it. Now you have to prove that you know what you want, you know who you are, and then you feel the need to have to get it out there into the public. But then that comes back. It's sort of like you're here, and then you swoop all the way to here, but now you want to go back into the middle, because that's when the real beauty happens. That's when you really come to terms with, I'm okay with who I am. I'm okay with what I'm building to become. I don't have to prove anything to anybody. If this is what I'm striving to be, then I just have to be. I have to work towards it and become it. I don't have to prove it to anybody that I am that person. If I have to tell people that I am this person, then I'm not exuding that energy. And then I got to ask myself, why am I not exuding that?
You have to tell them you're what person.
And if I'm saying that I'm a kind, compassionate, empathetic person, like if I have to say that to people.
Well, I think people who lived 30, 40 years of their lives as people pleaser, it's a journey. So you say it to hear it more, to remind yourself. Because I've met a lot of people pleasers, and I didn't like them. And I think I've mentioned this on the show. A couple years ago, why are you crying? Like, why are you crying again? Like, it bothered me. And I looked at them as weak. And I'm like, you know what? When you figure it out and then come, because I didn't want them in my space, because I was at the opposite side of the spectrum. And I felt like, what are you crying about? You were just kissing somebody's ass. And because they didn't glorify you for doing something so that you felt you went out of your way to do, now you're all butt wounded and you want to cry. And I didn't have time for that, because I felt like it sucked my energy. Then you watch these people grow and they're still in the middle. And remember, the majority of their life was spent seeking attention, seeking validation. That's what people pleasing is. Oh, look what I did for you. Love me. Tell me I'm great. How wonderful, how you can't live without me. And when you see them moving on without you, you're like, I can't believe they did that to me after all I did. Who asked you to do all of that? So that's what happens. So I had to come to the center of the spectrum, because I wouldn't tolerate people like that. When my kids tell me I've changed, it's because they've noticed what type of people I've let in my life. So what are you doing? Are you going to be about it, or are you going to continue to talk about it? So, like, all of us have different versions and different ways of how we're dealing with stuff. Doesn't mean we're different, that we cannot be friends, that we don't honor each other. I love having people that are a different mindset from me, but still a positive one. A positive one that no matter what the fuck happens around them, they're still going to charge forward. Not a positive one where everything's good and they make the best decisions. No, I like a fuck up every now and again, because who doesn't fuck up? Keep it real. And when you keep it real, you can then choose wisely. That's what discernment is. But if everything is going from one side to the spectrum to the other, you're going to always be a mess. So when you're sitting in the middle and claiming the I am and declaring, I was this, I was there for the majority of my life. So it's going to take me a minute to fully be sewn into the tapestry of realism.
Absolutely.
For my soul, you're going to keep going back and forth. And you know what I learned? Because my biggest pet peeve was like people spelling things wrong. And then and everything I write, ladies, and here's my book. I don't type my books. I longhand write them. Everything before I even type it in. And yesterday I'm cracking up before Iritza was here as I was sitting at the computer. I'm cracking up because I looked up and I had spelled like 3 words wrong. And I said, I would have ripped this page out a couple years ago and be so angry with myself. But because I know I'm a quick writer, so I write as I think. And I cracked up because I'm so on the other side of that. But why was I so quick to judge other people for that? Because I knew, because spelling is important to me, because I've been writing for such a young age. No, because it was a cover up for all my other fuck ups of damage I'm doing to myself. So that was one thing that I can say, you spelled this wrong, but how can you spell this wrong when I was having stuff that I wasn't dealing with, or my anger, because my biggest downfall was my rage and my anger. So when you're so quick to judge someone and be like, that's because there's 3 more things deeply wrong with you. So it made you feel good at that moment to insult someone by correcting them for something that you could have just let go. And that's my experience. I'm not saying that for you, badass, or anybody else, but that was my way, because I really despised weak and pathetic women. And those people pleasers to me were just that, because that was me growing up with my mother. So I lived it. You can't say, oh, but you don't understand. No, I'm not going to understand.
You're coming from, you're on the opposite side of it. You know what I mean?
All my life I've been on the opposite side. I didn't care. I'd rather people didn't like me, because then I didn't have to deal with their bullshit.
Right.
I was always a lone wolf. Always.
But I think the beauty is that, again, it's the I am. It's knowing this is who you were, this is who you used to be, who you are today, and who you are to be. And if the who you are to be, the goal is to just be better, to understand self better, to take ownership of, to become, it's not like, well, everybody, I was a people pleaser and everybody took advantage of me, so now I'm just going to take advantage of everybody else. Well, if that is your path, then that is your path. I know from my own experience that it was more of when you have been taken advantage of because you allowed it, because I allowed it, then you do go to the opposite side where you're like, well, fuck that. I'm not letting anybody take advantage of me anymore. But then you sort of calm it back down. At least I did, because I said, this isn't me either. I don't want to be the person that gets taken advantage of anymore. I don't want to be a people pleaser. It's not important for everybody to like me, but I also don't want to be the angry fight, like a person who's ready to be aggressive and fight. I want to be who I am, which is a person with a good heart. That's why I was the people pleaser. The difference is that as the people pleaser, I didn't love myself. I didn't even like myself much.
And that's why I was going to ask, why did you get angry with the other people when it wasn't their fault that you allowed them to do that?
No, of course, but that's where you are in that place,
that's where you are.
And then once you claim it all and say, okay, you know what, it is on me. It is on me. Why is it so necessary for me to be friends with everybody? If I like me, there will always be somebody that likes me. And then I will attract the people in my life. I am not a materialistic person. I'm not a showboater. Don't get me wrong. I could work a room. I can entertain. That's my personality. But it comes from a different place now. It's not that I have to do it because it makes me feel good. I have to validate myself. I'm funny, and I can be funny when the moment is right. And I will step in and be funny and entertain people. But I also know when to let other people have the spotlight. And that part, I am so happy to be that person. I'm so happy to be the person to know that I don't have to be in the spotlight all the time. I can be the person that just sits in the background because I'm comfortable with myself. I am a work in progress. There are still things that I need to let go of that will let me progress even further. But I'm definitely happy with what I've learned about myself. To come back to that point and say, you know what, I know what I am, and I know who I want to be. I know what I don't like. So I don't want to be around that. I'm not judging them if that's who they are. I just don't want to be around that. I don't want to be around people who are extraordinarily opinionated. I mean, we're talking like will talk over you, constantly spew out their opinions. It's fine. You could have your opinion, but it's just like,
I find it entertaining. Sometimes I need to be around.
Sometimes I do, but other
times I need to be reminded of certain things. So every moment has its timing.
Yes.
So I understand. Again, we all have blessings and curses, and mine was both. I can hear my name being mentioned 3 flights up. I don't know. It was always that. People hate when they do that. I've never been a people pleaser. I can say I'm kind because I know what it is not to be kind to. I know that if you need me and I got it, you got it. If I eat, you eat. That's always been all my life. Yeah. I've never held back because, but whatever. And that's why money, when I do have money and I do whatever I need to do, I don't harbor money. I don't save money because something always comes up for somebody. Anyway, I feel joy in that. That's why when I don't have money, I'm never fearful. Never. Because all I got to do is create something. Listen, I met 2 friends for dinner. I gifted them my tea jars. I get a video from one of them that their mom absolutely had to make a video to tell me how she loved it and how it brought memories back. The other one took some to work. In an instant, caused me up 5 jars sold when I had like $2 in my pocket. Okay. So at $20 a jar, I told them the jars were 15. He told them 20. I'm not going to argue with that. It was a blessing. Why? Because I trust the process. Because I know that I can enter hell and or heaven and know that I've never wronged anybody unless I was defending myself in their darkness. I don't purposely hurt. I don't blame anybody for what I went through. I held resentment for my mother for what she didn't do, not for what I went through. And when I came to that realization, it's not because of what I went through, but because in a child's view, what she didn't do. How huge is that? When we're too busy sticking to, I can't believe they hurt me. They did that to me after everything I did. But when it's the resentment because they didn't show up for you in that moment, it's a whole different song.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that until later on in life. And I was like, pfft. So when I tell you that I'm amazing, believe it, because I'm speaking the truth. And people don't have to agree with me. You can like me, you can love me, you cannot. But I'm always going to walk in my truth. I'm always going to be that fierce gladiator guru that you met or heard of. I'm always going to wear what I want, when I want, however I want. You come to me and you ask me a question and be sure you really want my answer. Because then your feelings might get hurt. And I'm going to throw a couple scenarios out there. But the thing is, when you can say, I've been through hell and back and I'm still standing, you can choose your life. And anybody that comes into your life, again, it's not by accident. It was on purpose for your purpose. So if that person came to hinder and harm you, meet them where they're at and place them where they need to be placed in your life. Because for some rhyme or reason, blessing or curse, they came into your life. It wasn't by accident. Meet them where they're at. That means you need to know yourself enough to say, I am confident that I can judge this character. And when you judge this character and it's a friend or foe, then you know what seat in the nosebleed section of your life to put them in. Because remember what I've said a long time ago, not everybody deserves VIP seating in your life. And when you know they don't deserve the VIP seating in your life, but you were too flaky to be solid with who you are, to set those boundaries, don't complain when they cause havoc in your paradise. Meet them where they are and place them where they need to be in your life. That's the strongest I am that you can have. You don't have to throw all these things behind me. Why did I need to meet this person? Why is this person like a fixture in my life? It's like, you know, when you buy a chandelier, they always send the extra little dangly crystals for just in cases. Those are these negative people in your life. Just in case you forgot that shit can fall and crumble. He's the reminder. She's the reminder. So stay focused. That's what that is. That's that message. So when you can say, I am aware of my purpose, or I am learning to be aware of my purpose, you are. You believe things when they're said to you. You know what they say when a drunk would tell you, say something to you, believe him, he's speaking the truth. That's everybody. And then they'll play it off with, just joking, just kidding. No, believe it. You need to have discernment over your own life before you gift it to others. And what is discernment?
Excuse me.
Salud. It is choosing wisely in your judgments. Don't beat yourself up and don't overcompensate for yourself. Oh, I deserve this, so don't overindulge. Meet yourself in the middle. And that's how you train yourself to treat yourself. And that's when you can instantly adjust the people that come into your life or the ones that are already in there, because you are the I am within the I am, which is you. Start loving yourself. Things will fall into place. And Desiree, thank you. I read everything you wrote. It's, you know, it's true. Nobody wants a pity party, but some people want pity parties. Let's call it like it is. When you have a pity party, unaware of your own courage and strength, but somebody comes up and says, what are you doing? Get up, go wash your ass, put some clean clothes on. Let's go for a walk. That's how the pity party starts dissipating. You know what? How I raised my children? You got 24 hours to marinate in your bullshit, and then we're gonna move on. And I had to tell my daughter that not too long ago. I know, but I need more than 20. No, you don't. You got 24 hours, and then don't call me with this bullshit again. And you know what? It hurts me. It hurts us when we can't fix shit for our kids.
Yes.
But I am not the seamstress of everybody's life.
No.
I am the creator of mine.
And you do them a complete service to say that.
Well, she got mad, but she called me the next day and she's like, you know, I was thinking, okay, what are you doing? What are you doing today though? Because it's also up to us to redirect. No matter how old your kid is. My kid is 37 years old. I still want to slap her. Because we can teach and we can share and we can congregate with other women and we can have workshops. But how come sometimes we can't even reach our own children? Like, girl, you came through me. You don't get me, because we're not saying what they want us to say to keep them stuck where they're at in that moment, because they're lavishing, you know, they're marinating in their own bullshit. So the I am is powerful, mi gente. When you're declaring I am upon yourself, make sure it's something that is going to serve you and not hinder you. I am the light that I need to be. Whatever you're going through in that moment, why do I feel the need? Bum. And then when you answer it, I am strong enough to do this. I am brave enough to face all these people, although you're shivering. My father always said, when you fight someone, it's not about winning, it's about standing up for yourself. And boy, did we fight in Father Panic Village. But he never, all he said is, if I find out you stay hit, I'm going to whip your ass. Never got hit by Poppy. But he also shared something that was very imperative, because children think they need to win. And if they lose, parents will come out, how you let them beat your ass? My father always says, it's not about winning. It's about standing up for who you are and letting them know you're not the one to mess with going forward. Always worked, right? So when you can stand as you lost, you actually won. You get it? You go into something and all you think about is winning, you lose your footing. You go in there and you're defending who you are, you're protecting who you are. It don't matter who won the heavyweight belt. What matters is you didn't throw in the white towel. You showed up for yourself, full force, fully armored, and you got knocked on your ass. But guess what? They know, whoo, she ain't the one. But you can walk away with the bruises and said, I didn't give in. I didn't run. My fear did not take over. I am courageous. I am solid. So I hope this helped today. I mean, we're out of time. Everybody, thank you for staying. I love this. I love the banter back and forth. I loved everything you wrote, Desiree.
And Gail
and
Natalie.
Gail. Sometimes change is riding the pendulum. I love phrases.
I love that too.
Woo! I think we had a show where the pendulum swings. I believe we had a show called that with the pendulum in it. Because I love it. I love the swinging of the pendulum. But Beatty wrote about her fear moving in by herself now after she's lived by herself since the age of 17. And when something is new, it's a little like, should I? What is that song? Should I go or should I stay?
Should I stay or should I go?
There you go. Backwards always, like the dog's tail. But you know what? That's what it is. And we're always going to question ourselves. Question yourself. Ask yourself point blank questions and then answer it honestly. And if you can do that with yourself in the mirror, you can do it with anybody.
And with that, we are done. Get ready next week. Next week is I Know. So get ready for your I Know. What is it that you know about you, about your life? And it's a part 1, part 2. So remember, this is about review, commit, and recommit month. Everything that we've gone over since January. So I know, get ready. So everybody have an absolutely great weekend. Thank you so much for being here. And from the Badass Buddha, remember, be you, be real, and be extraordinary.
And from the I'm sorry, I'm reading all the comments. Just let me go before you go. Madeline, Kathy, Gail, Evelyn, Iritza, Desiree, and the Milagros, I think, came on. Everybody who came on that I can't see right here. Thank you so much for showing up and staying with us until this time. And from the Gladiator Guru, mi gente, as always, because I'm marvelous. Breathe in the beauty. And breathe out the bullshit. Namaste.